In this video, we will understand about some important questions with relation to FSSAI exams. So, the first question is, what is the definition of nutraceuticals and supplements, novel foods, dietary foods, special dietary foods, proprietary foods, etc. So, nutraceuticals are products which, other than nutrition, are also used as a medicines. We can use that as a nutrition and also as medicines. A nutraceutical product may be defined as a substance which has physiological benefits or provides protection against chronic diseases. So, nutraceuticals may be used to improve health, delay the aging process, prevent chronic diseases, increase life expectancy, or support diet structures or function of the bodies. So all this it can cure cure or it can work against chronic diseases, and emphasis has been made to present herbal nutraceuticals effective on hard curative disorders related to oxidative stress, including allergy, Alzheimer, cardiovascular, cancer, diabetes, eyes, immune, inflammatory, and Parkinson's diseases, as well as obesity. So, if we compare nutraceuticals with the supplements, so here you can see these are all supplements and these are the nutraceuticals like herbs, finished herbal products, herbal materials, and herbal preparations. All these are nutraceuticals, and supplements are, you can see here, traditional medicines, vitamins and minerals, probiotics, plants, algae, fungal and bacterial and its extracts. So all these are called as supplements. Okay. Then foods for special dietary uses or functional foods or nutraceuticals or health supplements means foods which are specially processed or formulated to satisfy particular dietary requirements which exist because of a particular physical or physiological conditions or specific diseases and disorders, and which are presented as such, wherein the compositions of these foodstuffs must differ significantly from the compositions of ordinary foods and foods or foods or comparable natures. It means that it is specially designed substances extracted from foods or natural substances, but it is not present एज सच ऑर्डिनरी फूड्स. जैसे कि ऑर्डिनरी फूड में जैसा रहता है ऐसा नहीं होगा, बट स्पेशली डिजाइंड. दैट्स वाई वी आर कॉल इट इज ए फंक्शनल फूड्स. ओके, which have some extra activities beyond nutrition. So that's why we are calling it functional foods, because it has some health benefits apart from the role of giving basic nutrition. Then proprietary foods or novel foods means what? So as per FSSAI section 22, proprietary and novel food means an article of food for which standards have not been specified but it is not unsafe. So this is novel foods, but we have not got the standards prescribed by FSSAI, but it is not considered as unsafe, means it is safe only. Okay, so it is called novel food, but standard is not designed. The next question is, what is the range of microwave and radiation range used for shelf life or food preservation? So different ranges for microwave is generally 300 megahertz to how many? 300 megahertz to 3000 megahertz we generally use for microwave preservation technology. But in case of radiation, what we use? We use zero point 0.2 to 0.02 to 0.2 for what? Sprout inhibitions or tubers, then rhizomes, bulbs. For the sprout inhibitions, we use 0.02 to 0.2 kilogram. Then for delay in ripening of fruits, insects, delay in ripening of fruits, how much we use? 0.2 to 0.2 to 1 kilogram. Then for insect disinfestation of food and cereals, legumes and their products is 0.25 to 1 kilogram. Then this is called low dose. Then medium dose comes, that is shelf life improvements of meat, fish, fruits and vegetables, that is 1 to 3 kilogram. Then elimination of pathogens in various foods, that is 1 to 7 kilogram. This is medium dose. And hygienization of spices, this is also medium dose, 6 to 14 kilogram. And last what we use, that sterilization of packaged food and hospital diets, that we use 5 to 25 kilograms, that is very lethal dose. So sterilizations of packaged foods and hospital diets are sterilized by the help of radiations. The range is 5 to 25 kilogram. So wavelength ranges from 0.1 to 10 nanometer in case of X-ray. Then the energy is 0.12 to 12 keV. Okay. Then in case of ultrasonic waves in non-destructive analysis of food, the ranges is what? Above the range of human hearing, there is 20 kilohertz to 1 megahertz. And in case of acoustic sound waves, we use how much? In the range of human hearing, that is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Then in near infrared spectroscopy, we use how much? 780. How much? 780 nanometer to 2500 nanometer. Then next question is, what is self decompositions of food? So before knowing what is self decomposition of food, we need to understand what is the principles of food preservations. Principles of food preservation is what? Prevention or delay of microbial decompositions. By this also we can increase the shelf life. Then by keeping out microorganisms, which is also called asepsis. By removal of microorganisms by the help of filtrations. Then by hindering growth of microorganisms and activity of the microorganism. Growth and activity both are hindered by, that is called hidden microorganisms, by the use of low temperature, drying, anaerobic conditions or chemicals. By all these things we can hinder or hide the growth and activity of microorganisms. By killing the microorganisms by the help of heat or by the help of irradiations. Okay. By all these principles we can use that. And one more is that prevention or delay of cell decompositions of food by destructing or inactivating of food enzymes by the help of blanching, by delay of chemical reactions, by prevention of oxidation by means of an antioxidants. We can use some antioxidants to inhibit that oxidations by the help of BHT, BHA, TBHQ. We can use that. Then last is what? Prevention of damage caused by insects, animals, and mechanical causes. So, self decomposition is nothing but the decompositions of the food by itself, by the enzymes present within the food, or by different oxidation procedures. Then, what is the size of the sample to be sampled in tonnage, lots, and bake slot? Okay. So, in case of tonnage, what we do? Take the square root of the tonnage in the static bulk, divide by 2. We have to take first square root, then divide by 2. Then what we do? We round up the next whole number. We have to make that square root to next whole number. This is the minimum number of increment that is to be obtained. The number what is obtained, that is the minimum number of increment which has to be obtained. So, for example, you take here 500 is there tonnage amount, and you have taken the square root, that is 22.4. then we have divided that into divided by 2, and we have got how much? Almost 11 point something, and we have made that 11 point something into whole number, that is 12. So, we have to take 12 numbers of increments for sampling. Okay. In case of sampling from bags, what we do? We have to take by means of, suppose it is number of bags is up to 10. It is what? Up to 10 numbers or bags are there. Then each bag has to be sampled. Then between 10 to 200, if it is there, then 10 and 10 numbers we have to take, and it will be taken in random. Then if the bags numbers is more than 100, then we have to take square root, okay, square root of that number, and that number will be sampled. Okay. Here an example is there, a consignment comprising 200 bags are there. Then what we have to do? Square root we have to take. Then we have got how much? 14.142. Then how much? N is equal to how much? 14 we have got. Then make up 14 groups of 14 bags, that is total of 196 bags. Draw up a list from 1 to 14, cross out the number. Then for example 7, sample the 7th bag from each group of 14 bags. The remaining group, that is 4, is smaller than 14 bags. So, sample 1 bag from this group at random. A total of 15 bags thereof been selected. Then what is the name of the company involved in melamine adulterations? Okay, the famous Chinese milk scandal 2008 was the 2008 Chinese milk scandal was a significant food safety incident in China. The scandal involved milk and infant formula along with other food materials and components being adulterated with melamine, and over 3 lakh victims were there, and 6 babies died due to kidney failure. Kidney stones was there, and the name of the company was Sanlu Group, and it was Sichuan province. Then Sanlu Group was the name of the company who was producing this milk and exporting to other countries like America, and they were executed also after this offense. Okay. So, tracing forward or forward traceability is what? It is an action to track a product by following the timeline. When a defect is detected in a particular part, for instance, products containing the part can be identified to recall them precisely. Consequently, it is effective for the measures against recalls and defective products. So, Suppose in image we can understand, you are doing a manufacturing point here, and you have already given the shipments. So this here the problem is, a problem is occurring at the manufacturing unit. Okay, a problem is occurred at which point? Manufacturing point, and product has been shipped to market are identified. This is forward traceability. Okay, then tracing back or backward traceability. Tracing back is an action to track records backward in the timeline. For example, when a problem occurs with shipped products, the relevant lot and process can be identified to investigate the cause promptly. If you can trace back the records properly, identifications of a lot or a process allows quick actions to improve processes and quality, which leads to higher, more stable product. So for example, here your manufacturing unit is here, and you have already given the shipments to outside, then and the problem is occurring at which point? Shipment point. Then this is called backward traceability. Causes are identified by tracing backward to the time of manufacturing. So this is called backward traceability. So next question is, phosphorus is an initiative of FSSAI for food surveillance purpose. True or false? If you see this, phosphorus is food safety compliance by regular inspection and sampling, and this initiative is a digital India initiatives touching lives through digital technology. So this is phosphorus. It will have one app installed in that mobile, and by that app what we can do, we can not the regulatory authority like FSO, food safety officer, will have one inspection checklist, and food safety compliance through regular inspection and sampling is a system to verify compliance of food safety and hygiene standards by food business as per regulatory requirements. So food business is maintaining all the hygienic and food safety standards or not, can be inspected by the help of this app. Okay, and this would ensure that periodic inspections of food businesses are done on a regular basis by regulatory staff in an objective and transparent manner. Such inspection would use standards compliance metrics to ensure consistency in approach of inspections across the country. So it is true that phosphorus is a food surveillance system. So our answer is what? True. Then what are various steps involved in audit processes? So initiating the audit, appointing the audit team leader, then defining audit objective, determining the feasibility of the audit, selecting the audit team, establishing initial contacts with auditee, then conducting documental review, in that reviewing relevant management system documents including records and determining their adequacy with respect to audit criteria, then preparing for the on-site audit activities, preparing the audit plan, assigning work to the audit team, preparing work documents, then conducting on-site audit activities, in which what you have to do? Conducting opening meetings, communication during the audit, roles and responsibilities of guides and observers, narrating audit findings, preparing audit conclusions. After the audit is finished, there is audit conclusion is prepared, then conducting closing meetings, then preparing the audit report, approving and distributing the audit report, then completing the audit, then conducting audit follow up. So the question is, what is the application of accuracy and precision in food testing? So whenever we are going to test one food, the method, whatever we use, the method should be, preference should be given to the methods for which reliability. What is reliability? Has been established by collaborative studies involving several laboratories. Several laboratories has told that this method is reliable, then only we can choose that. And that method, its preference should be given to methods that have been recommended or adopted by international organizations. So international organization has adopted that method is to be utilized. And preference should be given to methods of analysis that is applicable to a wide range of food types and matrices rather than those that can only be used for specific foods. So method that is applicable to many kinds of foods, that has to be selected. Okay. And the analytical method selected also needs to have adequate performance characteristics. So if you summarize this, that method should be, the reliability criteria should be specificity, accuracy, precision, and sensitivity. And practicability criteria like speed, cost, technical skill requirement, dependability, and laboratory safety. Out of that, different characteristics on which you can reliable, which you that method is reliable, that includes what? Accuracy. Accuracy is defined as the closeness of the value obtained by the method in relation to the true value for the concentration of that constituent. So if there is accuracy, then you can say that your method is reliable, and it is often expressed as percentage accuracy. And inaccuracy is what? A correlate, the difference between the measured value and the true value. So inaccuracy is what? The difference, more the difference between the measured value and true value, then there exists more inaccuracy. If the measured value and the true value has less difference, then the accuracy level is more. Then comes precision. Precision is a measure of the closeness of replicated analysis of a nutrient in a sample of food. So it is what? The closeness of replicated analysis. You have done so many analysis of that method, same methods you have used, and the same results you have got. So there is some closeness of that results, then that is called precision. Okay. Then next question is, what is immunomagnetic separation and its uses in food testing? So while we make some rapid test, what do? We use this immunomagnetic separation to know the pathogenicity of the food. That food is having how many pathogens, that can be easily recognized by this methodology. But before that, what we have to do? We have to make some rare cell with magnetic bead attached. Magnetic bead attached, and then what we do? We give the mixed sample inlet to this point. Mixed sample is given to in this point, and when that mixed sample is passed through that pathogens, if it is present in that mixed sample, they will be attached to this blue color cells, and these blue color cells are having some magnetic particles, and that magnetic particles are attached with some antibodies. Then what happens, that bacteria or whatever pathogens or antigens are present, that will be attached to these blue cells, and the waste will be gone to this point. Then what we do, we again do what we will collection will happen here, rare collection of this happens here. Then we can easily identify what kind of pathogens already we know, because antibody the known antibody is fixed here, and that known antibody will recognize that known bacteria. Then we can easily recognize that this bacteria or this pathogen is present. Okay, next question is, in ELISA technique what kind of antibodies are used? So here you see there is one antigen here, green colors are always antigen here, and this red color is the inhibitor. And so forget about that. What we do, whatever antibody we use, there are three kinds of antibodies we generally use. Antibody linked with one enzyme, antibody linked with nothing, means simply they are monoclonal antibodies, simple monoclonal antibodies, and one more antibody which is linked with inhibitor substrate. So three kinds of antibodies we are using, mainly two kinds, that is one with the enzymes and another one is what, plain antibody, that is called monoclonal antibody, that is not having any antigen or antibody, plain. One more we are using antigen linked with one what, enzyme. That's why the name is what, enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. Based upon that, how many types of ELISA is there? It is direct ELISA, where in the titer plate will be having antigen within it, and the linked antibody will be given to the titer, then substrate will be given, and the color change will say positive or negative. If that antigen is not present, then there will be no color change, because the antibody which is specific to that antigen will not bind to that point, to that antigen. Hence there is no substrate enzyme reactions, and hence color will be not generated. This is called what, direct ELISA. In indirect ELISA what happens, we do same thing, but in between one a monoclonal antibody is given. First the antigen is given, then the primary antibody will be given. Okay, then one more antibody linked with enzyme will be given, that is called indirect ELISA. Then one more is there sandwich ELISA. First, in that sandwich ELISA what we do, we take one antibody in that titer plate which is fixed with one antigen. Okay, and then we have to pour that monoclonal antibody, then linked antibody will be given, then substrate will be given, then reaction will happen. Here one more competitive ELISA. What happens here, some competitive antibody will be there which will be attached with one inhibitor substance, and this is generally performed for checking the rate of reactions. Okay, next question is, explain the relationship between the diet and diabetes. So consuming excess sugars and fats found in junk foods can contribute to weight gains. So when you eat more junk foods, what happens, the weight gain happens. This excess weight gain is associated with the type 2 diabetes. One of the top risk factors for developing type 2 diabetes is being overweight. When you carry too much fat tissues, especially around your midsection, your body's cells can become resistant to insulin. This is important. When your fat level is increased around your midsections, your body's cells can become resistant to insulin. It means they are irresponsive to the insulin present outside their level. So the cells could not recognize the insulins. It means they are resistant to the insulins. Hence they cannot uptake the glucose from outer surrounding, and hence the blood glucose level is increased. Insulin is a hormone that moves sugar out of your body into your cells. When your cells are unable to use insulin properly, your pancreas mistakes this as a need for more insulin. So it pumps out more. Eventually, your pancreas will wear out and stop producing enough insulin to keep your blood sugars under control. This causes you develop diabetes, a condition characterized by high blood sugar level, because the junk foods are highly processed and high processed and high in calories. They tend to have few vitamins and minerals and are usually low in fiber. This is important. There is low level of fiber in the junk foods. Hence what happens, your cholesterol level is also increased, because the fiber helps to lower the level of cholesterol in your body. But if fiber is less, then okay. Junk foods also often contain large amounts of added sugars and are highly saturated fats and trans fats. Trans fats is very bad to your arteries and veins. This can cause them to digest more quickly, which can spike blood sugar levels and increase bad cholesterol level like VLDL, very low density lipoprotein, and low density lipoprotein. So these are the reasons. Next question is, explain various reasons of stunting and waste. So the reason is that most studies says that children may be considered to have adequately diversified dietary intake if they had food items from at least 4 or the 7 food groups. See, here 7 food groups are what, which has been recommended by ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, has recommended around 7 groups of foods. If children will not have the food in variety, then what happens? The nutritious food is not available. Not available means the nutrition is not proper to that child. Then what happens? There is no proper growth, there is no proper protein to that person, to that child. So what happens? There is no proper growth in protein, and the muscle which is present above the bones are wasted. That is called wasting. And when muscles is wasted, what happens? There is no proper growth in bones. There is no proper linear growth in that person or children. Then what happens? That is results in stunting. So there is wasting of muscles, and growth is also, linear growth is also impaired because of what? Malnutrition or undernutrition. It may be due to many things, and sometimes what happens, the children belong to unhygienic places. What happens, they very often toss the unhygienic things and to their mouth. Then what happens, their immunity level is also reduced. Hence the immunity power is reduced, and their growth is also reduced, so they are very often diseased. That's why what happens, wasting and stunting is also happen. So these are two main reason is what? Undernutrition and bad food habits, means lack of varieties in the food. Okay, next question is, what are the various names of genetically modified foods? So if you see this corn is one of the genetically modified food which is not which is resistant to herbicide called glyphosate, which is used to kill weeds. Then soya is also genetically modified food which is having high level of oleic acid, which is naturally found in olive oil. Oleic acid is a monounsaturated omega 9 fatty acids that may lower LDL cholesterol level. Then yellow crookneck squash and zucchini, this is also there. Then alpha alpha, cultivation of genetically engineered alpha alpha was approved in 2011. And canola is genetically engineered form was approved in 1996. Canola is also. Then sugar beets, then milk. To increase the quantity of milk produced, cows are often given RBGH, recombinant bovine growth hormone. So all these are name of genetically modified foods. So next question is, what is the adulteration test of coffee? So take one glass of water and add half teaspoon of coffee powder. When you stir for that mixture for 5 minutes, you have to wait, and after 5 minutes before stirring, what happens? Observe the glass at the bottom. Pure coffee powder will not leave any clay particles at the bottom. So after stirring and keeping it for 5 minutes, what happens? If the coffee powder is adulterated with clays, then what happens? The clay will settle down at the bottom, and then you can be confirmed that this coffee powder is adulterated with clay. Okay, you can see here clay is added. Okay, then take a transparent glass of water, add a teaspoon of coffee powder, but coffee powder will float over, and the chicory begins to sink. Then only you can be confirmed that this is adulterated or not. See here, this one is adulterated, but the previous, this one is adulterated one, and the previous, this one is not adulterated one, it is a pure coffee powder. Okay, so the next question is, what are the uh, various level of post-tax certification? So in post-tax certification there are 17 types of competence based certification programs, within which there are three levels. One is basic. Basic includes 5 courses which is having 4 hours of course durations. Another advanced is also having 5 types of courses and is having 8 8 hours of durations. And one more is special courses for those food industry which are dealing with highly risk high risk food business. Okay, and that includes 8 types of courses. Overall it is 18, but if you see that 5 number is having two kinds, so either you can tell it is 18 or it is 17 kinds of courses are available. The next question is, what are the activities toolkit present in Eat Right initiative of FSSAI? So Eat Right toolkit box consists of one Eat Right handbook, posters, then activities tools like food pyramid standee, food fortification pocket flyer, plus F logo puzzle, personal hygiene activity card, then clean India, healthy India activity card, food illustration, key ring, CD containing videos. Okay, and this Eat Right toolkit has been designed to promote preventive healthcare system, and it has been prepared jointly by FSSAI, BHAI Voluntary Health Association of India, and National Health System Resource Center. These three organizations has made this. Next question is, what are processes of laboratory notification by FSSAI? So FSSAI notifies three kinds of laboratories which fulfills the criteria, and there are level 1 food laboratory, level 2 food laboratories, and referral food laboratory, which are defined as the laboratory which is competent to carry out the complete analysis as per the Food Safety and Standards, Food Product Standards and Food Additives Part 1 and 2 Regulations 2011. Then level 2 laboratory, the laboratory which is competent to carry out the complete analysis as per the Food Safety and Standards, Food Products Standards and Food Additives Regulations 2011 and Food Safety and Standards, Contaminants, Toxins and Residues Regulations 2011 and referral food laboratory. The laboratory having competence to carry out the analysis as per the Food Safety and Standards, Food Product Standards and Food Additives Regulation 2011 and Food Safety and Standards, Contaminants, Toxins and Residues Regulation 2011. In addition, the referral laboratory must have the competence to meet the following requirements. What are those? These are R&D capabilities. They should have facility to develop standard, and to develop standards there is a requirement of R&D capability. So the laboratory should have that, and training facilities to develop the capacity. The laboratory should have the training facilities like seminar conducting, all those training facilities and other criteria like analysis of sample, food sent by the authorized officers, then investigation for the purpose of fixation of standard of any article of food, then any investigation in collaboration with the laboratories of food analysis in the various states, then ensuring that the laboratory follows the scientific protocol laid down for handling or testing the articles of foods, then maintaining high standards of accuracy, reliability and credibility in the operation of the laboratory, then laying down mechanism for ensuring that personnel of the laboratory adhere to high professional standards and discipline. Such other conditions the authority may declare. Okay. Then the last question, which food industries are coming under central licensing? So first is dairy units including milk, chilling units equipped to handle or process more than 50,000 liters of liquid milk per day or 25,000 metric ton of milk solid per annum. Then vegetable oil processing units and units producing vegetable oil by the process of solvent extraction and refineries including oil expeller unit having installed capacity more than 2 metric ton per day. All slaughterhouse equipped to slaughter more than 50 large animals or 150 small animals including sheep or goats or 1000 or more poultry birds. Then meat processing units equipped to handle or process more than 500 kgs of meat per day or 150 metric ton per annum. Then all food processing units other than mentioned under 1 IV including relabeler and repacker having installed capacity more than 2 metric ton per day except grains, cereals and pulses milling units. Then 100% export oriented units, then all importers importing food items including food ingredients and additives for commercial use. Then all food business operator manufacturing any article of foods containing ingredients or substances or using technology or processes or combinations thereof which safety has not been established, means it is a non-specified food, novel food through these regulations or which do not have a history of safe use or food containing ingredients which are being introduced for the first time into the country, first time it is introduced, that is novel food, that is also coming under central licensing. Then food business operator operating in two or more states, then it is coming under central purview. Then food catering services in establishments and units under central government agencies like railways, air and airport, seaport, defense, etc. So with this we have understood many important questions. Thank you and best of luck for your exam.